Hi, welcome back to English 111. This week, check out your introduction paragraphs and background paragraphs that you were supposed to submit last week. If you have not submitted them and the link has expired, just email them to me so that I can upload them into the Turnitin link and make some comments for you. But keep checking back to see if I've made the comments. Of course, you're going to get 100 for doing the assignment. So this is an easy 100 for you to get, but it also the purpose of it is for me to give you feedback. I've already looked at several of the paragraphs and given feedback, and I'll continue to work on those. So just keep checking back. I can't guarantee when I'll get to yours, but I will eventually get to all of them. So at this point, you should have finished your introduction paragraph and your background paragraph, and you're ready then to start with your body paragraphs. You want to have one body paragraph for each solution. So in your thesis statement or in your claim, you have made the claim that there are three workable, sustainable solutions that can help with whichever problem that you're addressing in your paper. So you want to have a topic sentence for each of those paragraphs that introduces the idea, the concept of the solution, and it makes it easy for your reader to follow along. I did not, in the sample that I gave you, in the help that I've given you with the outline and everything, I did not write the whole paper because I really didn't want to write a whole research paper. But I had put in just subheadings to let you know where things are, but don't use those subheadings. Just use paragraphs the way that we usually do in an essay. I have added something to the Moodle page this week. It's right down here on this week's tab, right under or right before the graded assignment bar. And that is this, it says Sample Core Project 4 Essay. What this is this is an essay that was written by one of my former English 111 students. And I changed I took his name off of it and just called it English student. But the reason I wanted to share this with you is because this is, he wrote a really good paper. Now, it's not perfect. So, yes, there may be some mistakes in it, but it was an A paper, and he got an A, for on the paper. So I wanted to share this with you because it was particularly well written as far as what I've asked you to do, how I've asked you to put information into the paper. So you can kind of see what he did. Now, word of warning, do not copy any of his paper. This is just to give you a sample, something to read so that you can see what I'm talking about when I say put in a topic sentence for each solution and that sort of thing. Here's his thesis, and what I have done is I have gone over and made comments on the side to let you know what each of these parts are. There's his thesis with his three sustainable solutions, and notice that he used strong language. It must be introduced globally. We should do these things. Of course, we don't want to use first person we, and I keep saying it, it's so easy to say, but don't keep in mind that you're writing in academic tone and you don't use first person, including first person plural, even we and us and that sort of thing. Just write it in third person. But he's got a good thesis statement, so you can kind of see what I was talking about with a really good thesis statement. And some of you had really good thesis statements too, as I remarked. If there was anything that I thought could make your thesis statement better or stronger, I made a comment on that, or I will by the time I finish doing all of them. Then here is his background paragraph, and he's brought in some evidence to back up what he has said. Remember, the background paragraph is to show your reader the severity of the problem. Why is this something that the United Nations thought that needed addressing with one of these global goals? And then he has started his his solution paragraphs here. So, one solution to protecting life on land is to educate the people of the world on how to participate in the protection of the world. Okay, so very, very simple, straightforward. Did not copy it word for word from the website, put it in his own words, and used a transition here in the topic sentence to help it the reader be able to follow it. So, and he's used third person in writing this throughout. Also, he's brought in evidence to back up his solution, and so it's very easy to follow. And then after he finished writing about that solution, he goes on to a second solution. Another solution to help protect life on land is to recycle all kinds of waste. Now the reader knows he's gone to a new solution, and he's brought in his evidence to back it up. And it's very clear and easy to follow. And then here's his third solution. Finally, the third solution to protecting life on land is to implement what is known as best management practices, BMPs, and he's going to he can use that because he identified what BMP was. He can use BMP instead of typing that out any place that he wants to. So very easy to read. And then after the body paragraphs, I don't expect you to have this done yet, but continue to work on it and research and find this, because we'll be adding this next week, which is the opposition and refutation paragraph. So he goes right into that. Some people rightfully oppose the idea of implementing best management practices in urban and rural areas because of the price tag that accompanies it. So you can see what I have here, what he has here is these are people who say, wait a minute, this is going to be too expensive. This is going to cost too much. So that's what you're looking for when you're looking for your opposition. It doesn't have to be attributed to a particular person who said something. You don't have to give a quote for that. But using language such as some people, or there are those who oppose this idea because it's too expensive. However, you want to express it in your own words. It lets your reader know, okay, here is somebody who's opposed to this. What this does is it gives your essay that authority, that ethos. I am acknowledging, I'm not just saying what will work and ignoring what people who object to it say. I'm also acknowledging what the opposition says. So that is good to be able to do that. All right, as well. And then he does, there's something that you need to do. You need to acknowledge that there is opposition. So he's done that. And then you need to say what is right about that opposition. So give them some credit. Yeah, it is a legitimate opposition. He used the language up here, excuse me, rightfully opposed, but also here he explains what's right about that. He says the expense of limiting impermeable surfaces, planting trees, and administering prescribed burns all add up to a great sum of money for private and public entities. Now he's mentioned, if you've read his essay, he has mentioned all of these things about impermeable surfaces, planting trees, and prescribed burns in his solution paragraphs. So the reader would know at this point yes, he's acknowledging that it is a great sum of money. Yes, it is. And then he's done what else we need to do for this refutation, opposition and refutation paragraph. However, where this argument is flawed is that the price is well worth the outcome. And not only has he stated that it is worth the outcome, but he goes on and brings in evidence to back that up. So that's what you need to do in that opposition and refutation paragraph. And then he ends with his conclusion paragraph, and then he has his works cited. Notice he has inserted his page break so that the works cited comes up on the at the top of the his 7th page. And he does have it in correct format, and he does have it in correct alphabetical order. Notice he has his first citation starts with the number 50. If you have any titles that begin with a number instead of a word, numbers go first in alphabetical listings. And then, so he's got 50 first because that is how alphabetical listing goes. And then he's got B for best management. He's got B for Bradford Alina, who is the author of this article. He's got environmental stewardship. He's got goal 15. He's got life on land. And he's got seed tree, recycling facts, and water conservation and washing vehicles. So those are his articles that he used. Those are his sources that he used. And it is done correctly. So that's another reason I wanted to share that essay with you, because you can kind of look at his to see how it is correctly done. So what I want you to do this week then is get your information for your body paragraphs. The graded assignment this time is to, on this Turnitin link right here, and where it says Core Project 4 Body Paragraph Complete with Evidence. I don't want you to just give me the body paragraph. Submit your essay in its entirety, everything that you have put on it so far, and this will just be added to it. So the document that you submit this week should have your introduction paragraph with your thesis, your background paragraph, and at least one body paragraph that addresses one of the solutions. So if you can get them all 3 done, that's great. When I was looking at one student in particular who turned in his introduction and background, had already done a couple of his solution paragraphs, so that was already added. So that's wonderful. But what we're doing here is not a separate document. Just keep adding to the document that you have done. Look ahead to that, looking for the opposition, thinking about how much it's going to cost or something like that. And then if you find something like that, then go ahead and write your refutation paragraph if you are to that point. It doesn't have to be written in any particular order. It does need to show up in your essay in a particular order. The other thing is right here on this week's Moodle, this week's tab on the Moodle page, how to write a refutation paragraph. This is a great website that I have used over and over. The reason I like it is because it is very easy to read, and it gives you some language that you can use, like to introduce the opposing argument here. It is often argued that it is true that opposing views claim. That's a good way to introduce that opposition. It tells you what you need to do, where you need to acknowledge the parts of the opposition that are valid. You can use some of these. One cannot deny that it would cost a lot of money, or certainly objectors are correct in that the amount of money um, for this solution is very high, something like that. But it gives you, admittedly, certainly, of course, because you want to acknowledge that the other um, side, the opposition, has made some good points, and then how to counter the argument with, as the English student did in his paper that I shared with you. He used however, but you could say on the other hand or nevertheless, um, to show, okay, yes, he is right about certain things, but here's where the argument falls apart. And then you're going to, in that part, say where it is incorrect or why it is still, in spite of the objection, a worthy goal, and you're going to bring in evidence there to back you up. It also has information. It gives you a couple of counter arguments, opposing arguments, counter arguments. At the bottom, they are not related to our assignment, but they're pretty good. Also on this website, if you just click conclusions, it also gives you some good information about a concluding paragraph. You still want to follow what I have given you for your concluding paragraph, and in the outline that I gave you. So anyway, this week, try to get your solutions together. Next week, we're going to try to wrap the whole thing up so that we can submit it to Smart Thinking and get feedback from that. And keep in mind that it is due either April 27th or 28th, depending on whether you're a Monday student or a Tuesday student. And then we'll have it out of the way and we'll be ready to talk about the final assessment and what we're going to do for that. Okay, so that's what we're doing. If you need any help with it, email me and I'll get back to you. And good luck working on this. Please don't put it off. Please keep up to date with it. That way it won't take a big chunk of your time right before it's due. So I'll talk to you later. Bye.